There are a lot of jobs that I would not want, and 911 operator is definitely on that list. You know how stressful it would be to have people call you all day long in terror? And how many calls would come in from a payphone or mystery numbers that you would never get any answers about? Well, today we are going to explore some of these spooky emergency calls. Hello, Most Amazing Top 10 family. I am your host, Che Dorena, and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Today we are going to be counting down the top 10 mysterious 911 calls. If any of you at home are interested in taking in some more Most Amazing Top 10 content, you should check us out on Instagram and Facebook, and stick around for the whole list because I'm going to be answering some questions from my Instagram inbox. If you want me to answer one of your questions, you can hit me up through the gram. Without taking any longer, let's get into this list. Coming in at number 10, we have Alex Crane. What is going on in the mind of a killer? That is something we will probably never know, as it takes someone who is not sane to take someone else's life. Also, is it possible to kill someone without intention? Well, this mysterious 911 call brought up all these questions. Alex Crane called 911 and reported something horrifying. He told the dispatcher that he had just murdered his parents. But this is where things get strange. He didn't remember killing his parents. He said that he was sleeping and he woke up to both his parents dead in front of him and a gun in his hand. Do you think that he was telling the truth in this mystery call, or did he need to find some way to justify killing his own parents? Coming in at number 9, we have Ruth's last words. An elderly woman called 911 saying that there was a man outside her house. He came to her front door and he was asking about the apartment. He claims that he was looking for a place to stay. She didn't let him in, but he kept working his way around the building and she saw him pass by her windows over and over. She kept breaking down the scenario to the police like this.
He comes to my door and said he's looking for an apartment.
The woman seems very calm and she's on the phone with the police, but it doesn't seem that she's in danger at all. If I was the person on the phone, I wouldn't have thought that this was an emergency. It seems like she had her eye on the person when this was happening. Then out of nowhere, she lets out the most terrifying scream that I have ever heard in my life. It sounds like she saw the devil himself. Then the call goes dead. Did this mysterious person find a way into this poor lady's apartment, or was there something more vicious that attacked this woman? When the police arrived, someone or something had already taken this woman's life. Coming in at number 8, we have a missing wife. This is one of the strangest missing persons cases ever, because all of the pieces should be there to tell us how this person went missing and what happened to them, but we still have no idea as to what happened. This comes back to Sherry Papini. She was out running close to her California home, then she was gone. No one noticed she was missing until later that day. It was her husband, who would usually come home to the warm welcome of his wife, who was shocked to find that she was nowhere to be found. He went out searching for her and made a chilling discovery. Her phone had been smashed on the side of the road and there was a clump of her hair right next to it. It seemed that she had been attacked. He called the police, and after a few weeks of searching, it would seem that his wife was gone forever. But then someone found her. She was tied up, sitting on the side of the street, and she had her head shaved. She was rescued, but when questioned about what happened, she couldn't remember anything. It seemed that she had been drugged and lost her memory. Coming in at number 7, we have Why Make the Call. The next call is mysterious and terrifying for many reasons. The call was made by Checkingson Sinclair. He calls the 911 emergency line very calmly and talks super clearly. You would have never thought that something strange had happened. In fact, you would never thought that a murder was just committed. He speaks to the operator, and here's a clip from the 4-minute call.
A murder has been committed.
Oh, a murder has been committed? By who?
By me, man.
By you?
He killed his own wife and then called in to report that she had been killed. What I find so mysterious about this call is, why did he do all of this? Why did he kill his own wife and then turn himself in? Did he want to go to prison? Was this an act of passion, and then when he came to his senses he realized what he had done? Or did he really just have no feeling about the whole thing one way or the other? Coming in at number 6, we have the Russian officer. The Detroit police were out searching for a man that was bleeding to death after they got a strange phone call.
We have a male calling from a satellite phone, stating that he was kidnapped and stabbed in the leg, left in an unknown abandoned building.
The man apparently was a Russian officer who was kidnapped and then stabbed and then left to die in some building somewhere in Detroit. The police didn't know if this was a prank, but he was calling from a satellite Russian number. If this was a prank, why would the people behind it go to such lengths? And if it wasn't, what did this man do to create such enemies? Or this might have been an attack with zero motive. Coming in at number 5, we have the gunshot caller. Back in the 1980s, someone called 911 in Texas claiming that they had someone hostage. They said that they were calling 911 to see if the police were smart enough to come and find them. Then they fired 2 shots and claimed that they had just killed the person. No one was heard on the phone except for the caller, so this might have been a hoax. Or maybe this was the start of a horrible serial killer who wanted to play games with the police. Coming in at number 4, we have the weepy voiced killer. These are some of the creepiest 911 calls I have ever heard. The weepy voiced killer's calls will send a chill down your spine. After 3 separate murders, police received a call from an unknown number, a man that claimed he had just killed someone and was almost crying. He talked about how he didn't know why he did it, about how he wanted to stop but he just couldn't. It was almost as if he was taken over by something evil and then he would come to his senses after the crime was committed. The crying, whiny voice over the phone is what gave him this nickname, but even after he called, he would never give up who he was. So was he calling because he felt remorse or because he wanted to taunt the police? Well, in the end, it was his strange voice that would give him away. The police received a 911 call from the whiny voiced man who said that he had just been attacked. Someone had hit him in the head with a bottle. Once he was taken into the hospital, the police questioned him about the murders and eventually they connected him to the death of 3 women. Coming in at number 3, we have the dark figure. 2 girls are terrified and call 911 late one night. They're having a sleepover. The 2 girls were only teenagers and were left home alone. One of the girls was house sitting for a neighbor and had her friend come over to stay with her so she could feel safe. Late one night, they heard a loud bang that sounded like it came from outside the house. The 2 girls were terrified, so they grabbed their phones before they went downstairs to check out what the noise was. Before they reached the bottom of the stairs, they had already called 911. While talking to the dispatcher, they told them about the noise and then they described something that sounded horrifying. They looked through the window and they saw a large beast. It looked like it was walking on all 4s and patrolling around the house. The police warned them not to go outside and it was probably a bear looking for food. Then the creature turned and looked towards them. It stood up on its hind legs and looked almost as if it was staring at them. It was too dark on the exterior of the house to see what the creature was, but both the girls swear that it was staring at them like it knew they were in the house. Coming in at number 2, the whisper. Back in 2013, the Albuquerque police station received a series of phone calls from someone who was whispering so faintly it was almost impossible to hear what they were saying. The person would stay on the phone for no longer than 30 seconds and then the call would get cut off. There's been a lot of speculation as to who this could be. Some people think this could have just been a prank call, someone who was calling in and wanted to create a little bit of stress for the person answering the calls. Other people think it could have been some sort of supernatural happening, someone reaching through from the other side trying to get someone's attention. But the most believable conspiracy theory about these calls would be that it was someone who was kidnapped and they were trying to get help but had to speak softly so their kidnapper couldn't hear them and didn't find out that they had a phone. Coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Jamie Santos. This is something that happens more often than you would think. Someone calls 911 to report a murder but then doesn't leave any of their personal details. Sometimes this is just a hoax that people will try to mess with the police, but in the case of Jamie Santos, this call was absolutely real. Jamie Santos was found suffocated to death in her apartment back in 1991. The reason the police found out about the murder was because someone called in from a payphone to report the murder but didn't leave a name or any means to contact them. Now this might have been someone who saw her get killed and for whatever reason was too afraid to leave details about themselves, or this could have been the person who killed her. The identity of this person has never been discovered. Alright everyone, that has been our list, and as promised I'm going to be reading out some questions from my Instagram inbox. Quarantine X Chill wrote in and asked, do you sing? And the answer is, I am a terrible singer. I have no idea how to do it and I've never been trained to do it, so my skills aren't sharp at all. I do like to sing when no one's watching. I'm one of those people who will sing to himself whenever they're doing something weird, like, you know, you're like cooking or something, you're like, I'm making noodles, these noodles are gonna be good. Like, I do stuff like that all the time. True Wolf Rider wrote in and asked, in your opinion, what is the meaning of life? Wow, this is a pretty heavy question. Like, who really knows the answer to this? But I think it helps if you find a purpose, like something to make you wake up in the morning and feel excited for life. I think if you can find something like that, it will make it all worthwhile. Also, don't waste your time trying to please other people. Focus on what you need out of your life and you will start to build a social network that complements who you are and you will live a more fulfilling life. And finally, we have Random Poster 645 who wrote in and asked, what is your favorite cartoon you've ever watched? I think mine would have to be Adventure Time. It's one of the only cartoons that I've gone back to rewatch, and as I've gotten older, I've enjoyed it more and more and more every time I watch it, and it's also an extremely funny show. Alright everyone, that has been our list. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I've been your host, Jade Arena, and I don't know, be careful with these 911 calls. They get creepy. Bye. Alex CRAIN called 911 one day and reported that Alex CRAIN called 911 one day. 911 one day. What? While the dispatcher.